After losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago, Daniel Whitaker, a 52-year-old tech millionaire from San Diego, had built walls around his heart. Once a vibrant man filled with dreams and laughter, he now lived in a mansion that echoed with silence, except for the soft giggles of his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. She was his only light in a world dimmed by grief. Daniel had hired a new nanny 6 months ago. Her name was Elena, a quiet, warm-hearted woman in her late 30s with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She had a calming presence that seemed to soothe Lily instantly. Slowly, Daniel began to notice something unusual. Elena wasn't just doing her job, she was investing her soul into Lily's happiness. She painted with her, danced with her in the garden, and read her stories with voices that brought the characters to life. But what puzzled Daniel even more was her refusal to accept anything extra. No bonuses. No expensive gifts. Not even a raise. "I'm happy with what I earn, Mr. Whitaker," she would always say with a soft nod. "Lily gives me more than money ever could." One rainy Thursday, curiosity overtook him. Why would someone so devoted, so loving, live so simply, almost as if she had no needs of her own? When Elena left that evening, Daniel made a quiet decision. He followed her. He stayed a few cars behind, careful not to be seen. Elena took a city bus, then another, eventually walking nearly a mile through a rougher part of town. Her clothes, once unnoticed, now seemed too thin for the rain. She finally stopped in front of an old, crumbling apartment building. Daniel watched her enter and waited a few minutes before stepping out and walking to the door. A child's voice echoed faintly from a window above. He looked up. Moments later, a curtain moved. The next day, Daniel couldn't concentrate on anything. What was Elena hiding? Why had she never mentioned she had a child? That evening, instead of confronting her, he waited until she left again. This time, he knocked on the building manager's door. After slipping him a generous tip, he asked about the woman in apartment 3B. "She's quiet. Pays rent late, but always pays. Lives with 2 kids, her own, I think. One of them is in a wheelchair. Sweet family. She works 2 jobs." Daniel stood frozen. 2 children. A wheelchair. 2 jobs. The next day, he invited Elena into his office. "I followed you yesterday," he confessed, ashamed. "I needed to know why you never accepted more. Why you give so much without asking for anything." Elena's face paled, but she didn't speak. "I know about your children," Daniel continued, voice softer. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "Because I didn't want pity. I didn't want to risk losing this job. Lily needs me, and honestly, I need her too. She reminds me how to hope." She explained everything. Her husband had died in an accident 5 years ago, leaving her with 2 young children. Her son, Javier, had suffered a spinal injury in the same crash. Since then, she had worked tirelessly, cleaning homes in the morning, caring for Lily in the afternoon. Every dollar went to therapy, medication, and food. Daniel sat in stunned silence. "You still show up every day with a smile," he whispered. "You carry the weight of the world and still manage to lift others." Elena smiled faintly, wiping her tears. "Sometimes, lifting others is the only thing that keeps you from falling." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He looked at Lily, tucked safely in bed, dreaming peacefully, and thought of Elena's son who probably slept in pain, in a home that barely kept the cold out. The contrast was unbearable. The next morning, Daniel took a different path. He called a few friends in real estate and found Elena a beautiful ground-floor apartment near the beach, fully wheelchair accessible. He arranged for private therapy sessions for Javier. He also set up a trust fund for both her children. When Elena arrived at work, Daniel handed her a single envelope. Inside were 2 keys and a note: "You gave my daughter her laughter back. Let me give your children their childhood. She opened it and broke down sobbing. I can't accept this, she stammered. Daniel gently took her hands. You already have. You earned it the day you chose love over comfort. The world needs more hearts like yours. In the months that followed, Javier regained some mobility. Elena's daughter started school in better clothes, full of confidence. And Lily? She smiled more than ever, especially on weekends when all three children played together in Daniel's garden. But the story didn't end there. One spring afternoon, as Daniel watched the kids run through the sprinklers, Elena sat beside him on the porch. For the first time in years, his heart felt full. You saved me too, Elena, he said quietly. I thought I had lost everything. But you reminded me that healing isn't just possible, it's meant to be shared. She looked at him, eyes glistening. Sometimes, all it takes is following someone, not to catch them doing wrong, but to finally see what's right. In a world that often rushes past quiet heroes, this story reminds us that the kindest souls walk humbly. That healing finds its way not through wealth or status, but through small, selfless acts that echo far beyond the moment. Sometimes, following a stranger's path leads us back to our own humanity.